You feel, however, that we're making progress in this country and worldwide?
No. I will never say that progress is being made. If you stick a knife in my back 9 inches and pull it out 6 inches, there's no progress. If you pull it all the way out, that's not progress. The progress is healing the wound that the blow made. And they haven't even begun to pull a knife out, much less try and heal the wound.
I'm about to sign into law the Civil Rights Act of 1964. I want to take this occasion to talk to you about what that law means to every American. My fellow citizens, we have come now to a time of testing. We must not fail. Let us close the springs of racial poison. Let us pray for wise and understanding hearts. Let us lay aside irrelevant differences and make our nation whole. Let us hasten that day when our unmeasured strength and our unbounded spirit will be free to do the great works ordained for this nation by the just and wise God, who is the Father of us all. Thank you and good night.
Malcolm, what is your purpose here?
Well, my purpose here is to remind the African heads of state that there are 22 million of us in America who are also of African descent, and to remind them also that we are the victims of America's colonialism or American imperialism, and that our problem is not an American problem, it's a human problem. It's not a Negro problem, it's a problem of humanity. It's not a problem of civil rights, but a problem of human rights.
And what do you hope for from this conference?
Well, we hope to bring pressure upon them, or rather we hope to impress upon them the importance of their bringing pressure and world opinion upon the United States to take some meaningful effort to solve our problem in America. We want them to help us get our problem before the United Nations and charge America with violating our human rights in the same way that South Africa is charged with violating the human rights of our people in that area.
And what sort of reaction have you been getting from the African leaders?
Well, I've gotten a good reaction, a very sympathetic reaction, and an understanding reaction. Many of them have been misinformed by the American government into thinking that black people in America don't identify with Africa, and therefore they've restrained themselves from voicing their interest in our problem. But I've impressed upon them that our problem is their problem, as well as their problems are our problems.
I think that if, like America has ever run out of Vietnam and defeated, as they should be in Vietnam, then black people over here will have to, be in a position where they can defend themselves. Because I think that aggression that's being directed against the Vietnamese people will be turned inwardly against black people in this country. See, America, in terms of where she goes and, who she controls, a whole sphere of influence is diminishing. America is fighting on about 5 or 6 different fronts right now. Latin America, like Africa, Middle East, and Vietnam, and here domestically. So I think that, given the system and given that it operates off the military-industrial complex, which means that war is profitable and that, General Steel, USS Steel must make steel for tanks to hire people, to give people jobs, so they can spend the money to buy other goods. The very fact that the system operates off that principle means that when the man comes back, when the man is run out of every country, then it will become necessary to wage war in his own country.
To abandon our commitment.
The Vietnam War ended Lyndon Johnson's political career, forcing him not to seek re-election. Rap Brown's prediction would bear fruit.
As long as police officers
you're really naive if you truly think that Martin Luther King just happened to be at the wrong place at the wrong time at the Lorraine Motel and this random guy just came and shot and killed him. Martin Luther King sort of had a change of heart. Martin Luther King was starting to take a more militant, stronger position. And his new battle was no war. Government said, whoa, wait, he's about to come in our territory. Like, it's one thing to let you take a shit in the same toilet that I do. You know, I'll give you that, but you ain't about to stop my money flow. You gotta go.
Well, it's very important to point out that Dr. Martin Luther King was the first prominent public figure to speak out against the war in Vietnam, especially after Dr. King made his powerful speech at the Riverside Church, in which he talked about the connection between militarism and racism. There was no way to imagine justice and equality as long as, racism was being used as a weapon to attack the people of Vietnam.
When white America killed Dr. King last night, she declared war on us.
There were many sacrifices. When they say we stand on the shoulders of people, we are actually in the palm of the hands of a lot of folks because we were moved and motivated and charged up by people who had already made a commitment in the 60s to bring about change. And even though I was really on the periphery, I was on the outside looking in, I didn't know much. I knew I wanted to be a part of the Black Power movement, but I didn't know how to be a part of it. But I felt it was something necessary. No, what he did, I still could not have marched with Dr. King. I could never have been with him on any level. I did not agree with his philosophy, and I still don't agree with his philosophy.
They called in the combined police forces of Berkeley, Oakland, and San Francisco, the California Highway Patrol, and 3,000 National Guardsmen. And they just went crazy. They began shooting at everything they moved. They shot about 300 people, but they only killed one person.
I do agree with fighting fire with fire. I'm not going to fight fire with water necessarily. I mean, if someone charges at me, I'm going to defend myself. Dr. King was not about that, but what he did do, the exposing the demons that existed in America, that's priceless. You can't, it was a sacrifice, but he showed you, this is America. Look at this. We're nonviolent. We're singing We Shall Overcome. And they got the dogs on us. They're putting us in prison. They're beating the hell out of us. And, of course, when he was killed, I was shattered just by the fact that this man wasn't fighting with the guns and weapons that they're fighting with. So I personally felt an insult to that, but I could have never marched Malcolm's concepts and theories about how we should deal with ourselves, how we should really function in this society. That's what made sense to me. So when you look at the last poets, you're really looking at disciples of Malcolm X.
One white man named Lincoln supposedly fought the Civil War to solve the race problem, and the problem is still here. Another white man named Lincoln, again the same white man, issued the Emancipation Proclamation to solve the race problem, and the problem is still here. Some more white liberals came along with the 13th, 14th, and 5th Amendments, which were supposed to solve the race problem, and the problem is still here. 9 years ago, 9 more white liberals, so-called, came up with what they call a Supreme Court desegregation decision, and the problem is still here. And then another white man named Kennedy came along running for president and told Negroes what all he was going to do for them if they voted for him, and they voted for him 80%. He's been in office now for 3 years, and the problem is still here. When the police dogs were biting black women and black children and black babies in Birmingham, Alabama, that Kennedy talked about what he couldn't do because no federal law had been violated. And as soon as the Negroes exploded and began to protect themselves and got the best of the crackers in Birmingham, then Kennedy sent for the troops. And there was he didn't have any new law. When he sent for the troops when the Negroes erupted, than he had at the time when whites were erupting. So we are within our rights and with justice, with justification, when we express doubt concerning the ability of the white man to solve our problem, and also when we express doubt concerning his integrity, concerning his sincerity, because you will have to confess that the problem has been around here for a long time, and whites have been saying the same thing about it for the past 100 years, and there's no nearer a solution today than there was 100 years ago.